You're here because something inside of you is tired of the pain. You feel stuck. You've been carrying this burden for far too long, and no matter what you try, the pain never seems to go away. You're overwhelmed, exhausted, and wondering, is this just how life is meant to be? But what if I told you that this pain, the very thing that's been weighing you down, could become your greatest source of power? This isn't just another self-help journey. It's a step-by-step guide rooted in real-life stories and scientific insights that will help you harness your pain and turn it into your greatest asset. In the next 6 months, you won't just cope with pain, you'll learn to reshape it, turning every setback into a step forward. Hit subscribe and let's take the first step together as part of a community that refuses to let pain define us, but instead uses it to create a life of strength and purpose. Today is the day to stop letting pain control you. You don't need to wait another day. Take charge now and watch how this small decision will shape your future. This journey isn't about ignoring your struggles or pretending everything is okay. It's about embracing your pain, understanding its purpose, and using it to build a stronger, more resilient you. You're not alone. Everyone experiences pain in its many forms: physical, emotional, mental. What sets apart those who thrive from those who merely survive is how they respond to that pain. Some remain trapped by it for years, even decades, while others harness it to fuel their transformation. By the end of this series, you'll discover how to channel your pain into a driving force that propels you forward. You'll learn the essential steps to transform your life, starting today. Together, we'll navigate this journey, supporting each other every step of the way. Let's transform your pain into the strength that will redefine your life in the next 6 months. Pain is a catalyst for change. Reflect on the key moments in your life, the ones that shaped who you are. Through pain, we grow, learn, and transform, or did they emerge from the depths of struggle and adversity? Pain, in all its forms, emotional, physical, or psychological, has a profound way of shaking us from the routine of life. It forces us to stop, reflect, and recognize that something is amiss. Pain demands attention, and in that moment, we're given an opportunity to confront our reality or to retreat into avoidance. For most of us, pain feels like an adversary. We see it as something to be feared, something to run from. But what if we dared to view pain differently? What if pain wasn't the enemy, but rather our greatest teacher, one that forces us to grow? Pain asks us to face hard truths. Am I truly happy where I am? Is this the life I envisioned for myself? What must change for me to find peace and fulfillment? Far from being a punishment, pain serves as a guide. It shows us what's hidden beneath the surface, urging us to address the things we've been ignoring for far too long. When viewed through this lens, pain becomes an invitation to uncover deeper truths about ourselves. And through this introspection, we are given the chance to change. Science shows that pain physically alters the brain, enhancing our resilience. Neuroscience tells us that when we go through adversity, our brains undergo a process known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. This process strengthens our emotional endurance, much like muscles growing stronger through tension and resistance. When we face pain, we are actively building mental fortitude and resilience, making us more capable of handling future challenges. As you reflect on the pain you might be experiencing now, ask yourself, what is this pain revealing to me? What lessons does it hold? This isn't about suffering for the sake of suffering. Pain is not here to destroy you, but to push you to discover parts of yourself you've yet to explore. The power of real-life transformation. Consider the remarkable journey of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years imprisoned, enduring profound physical and emotional pain. Many people would have broken under such circumstances, but Mandela didn't merely survive. He thrived. He used his pain as a force for transformation, both personally and for the world. Mandela's time in prison wasn't just about surviving hardship. It became the foundation upon which he built his unshakable sense of purpose. His resilience turned 27 years of pain into a testament to the strength of the human spirit. He once said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." His story teaches us that pain can fuel our purpose if we allow it to. The very thing that threatens to break us can become the force that lifts us to new heights. Mandela's resilience wasn't born in a moment of ease. It was shaped and forged in the fire of suffering. During his 27 years in prison, Mandela endured unimaginable hardships, isolation, hard labor, and uncertainty. Yet, rather than letting this pain define him, Mandela chose to transform it into his greatest source of power. In his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela describes how he used his time in prison to reflect deeply on his purpose. Instead of being consumed by bitterness or anger, he focused on mental and physical discipline. He maintained his strength by exercising daily and kept his mind sharp through reading and political discussions with fellow inmates. Through this, Mandela found that his imprisonment was not just a personal struggle, but an opportunity to cultivate resilience and shape his vision for a free South Africa. One of the most transformative lessons Mandela learned during these years was the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation. After years of oppression and suffering, he emerged not with hatred, but with the belief that healing could only happen through unity. He famously stated that resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. This understanding, that pain could be turned into a force for healing and change, became a cornerstone of his leadership. Mandela's ability to turn his suffering into a movement of peace and equality shows us that pain, when reframed, can be a catalyst for personal and societal transformation. His journey teaches us that even the darkest periods can provide the foundation for future greatness. Just as Mandela harnessed his pain to shape his future, you too can look at your life's challenges and find the lessons within. Reflect on your journey. What struggles have shaped the person you are today? How did they challenge you? And embracing pain to move forward, unlocking the path to emotional mastery. Pain. It's that silent companion we all carry at one time or another. Have you ever felt so overwhelmed by your emotions that it seemed like the world was closing in on you? In those moments, accepting your pain can feel like an impossible task. But what if I told you that accepting it isn't about giving in? It's about discovering the strength that's been inside you all along. Emotional mastery is not about denying your pain, pretending it doesn't exist, or numbing yourself to it. It's about stepping into the storm, knowing full well you're going to get wet. And through this willingness to face the storm, you learn something profound. The storm doesn't last forever. This process starts with a simple truth. You can feel deeply and still stand tall. Emotional mastery begins not when you push the pain away, but when you let it in. Healing starts the moment you stop resisting and start understanding. Step 1. Mindful breathing. Creating space between you and your pain. Imagine the last time you felt emotionally overwhelmed. Your chest tightened, your breath quickened, and your thoughts spiraled into negative territory. What you experienced was your body's instinctive response to pain, both physical and emotional. But here's the thing. Your breath is the first and easiest tool for regaining control. Try a simple, mindful breathing technique. Slowly inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, then exhale for 4 counts. As you do this, focus solely on the rhythm of your breath. If thoughts or emotions arise, simply observe them without engagement. Think of these emotions as clouds passing by. You acknowledge their presence, but don't allow them to take over. You might feel a shift. Your racing heart slows, and the intensity of the emotions diminishes. This isn't a miracle fix, but mindful breathing creates a pause between you and your emotional response. It allows you to respond rather than react, creating a space where you can start to regain clarity. This simple practice, when done regularly, can become a gateway to emotional mastery. Step 2. Self-compassion. Being kind to yourself. One of the most overlooked elements of emotional mastery is self-compassion. We often approach our pain with resistance or even self-criticism. Why am I feeling this way? Or I shouldn't be so upset. This inner dialogue only deepens the pain. Instead, what if we approached our emotions with kindness? The next time you feel pain, pause and say to yourself, "It's okay to feel this way. I am human, and these emotions are part of that experience." This small affirmation can shift your perspective from judgment to acceptance. In my own experience, I've found that the moment I stopped criticizing myself for feeling anxious or sad, the emotional intensity often lessened. It wasn't about pretending the pain wasn't there, but about being kinder to myself during tough times. This allowed me to feel my emotions without adding layers of negativity. It's a practice, but it's one that frees you from self-imposed pressure. With this shift, you reduce the internal conflict. Instead of adding layers of guilt or shame to your pain, you allow it to exist without judgment. Self-compassion doesn't erase the pain, but it makes room for healing to begin. You treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend in need, and that becomes a powerful tool in emotional resilience. Step 3. Cognitive reframing, changing the story. The way we interpret pain often intensifies it. We might see a difficult situation as a setback, or worse, as a failure. However, cognitive reframing allows us to view the same situation from a different perspective, one that empowers rather than weakens. When you encounter pain, ask yourself, what is this experience teaching me? How can I grow from it? At first, this might feel uncomfortable, but over time, you'll notice how powerful this shift can be. Instead of seeing pain as something you're helpless against, you begin to view it as an opportunity for growth. By changing the way you see pain, you gain control over the narrative. You're no longer a passive recipient of suffering, but an active participant in your healing. The story of Viktor Frankl serves as a powerful example. He, a neurologist and psychiatrist who survived years in Nazi concentration camps. Instead of succumbing to despair, Frankl found meaning in his suffering, which became the foundation for his work on logotherapy, the belief that finding purpose in life is the most powerful way to overcome adversity. His ability to reframe pain as a path to meaning transformed not only his life, but countless others who followed his teachings. Step 4. Journaling. Reflecting on your emotional journey. Our minds are often cluttered with thoughts and emotions that make it difficult to see the bigger picture. Journaling offers a way to organize those thoughts, reflect on your emotions, and gain insight into your patterns. At the end of each day, spend 10 minutes writing about the emotions you experienced. What triggered them? How did you respond? What could you learn from these feelings? Journaling offers you the opportunity to express your emotions without judgment and with total freedom. Over time, patterns emerge. You begin to see how certain situations trigger specific emotional responses, and you can track your progress in how you handle them. This practice also gives you a sense of ownership over your emotional journey. You are no longer just experiencing emotions, but actively working to understand and master them. Step 5. Acceptance. Letting go of resistance. Many of us resist pain because we view it as something to be feared. But resisting pain often makes it worse. Acceptance, on the other hand, is not about surrendering to pain. It's about acknowledging its presence and allowing yourself to feel it without letting it define you. The next time pain arises, practice acceptance by acknowledging its presence. Say to yourself, "This is what I'm feeling right now, and that's okay. I don't need to fix it right this second." This act of acceptance removes the pressure to escape the emotion and gives you space to experience it fully. When you stop fighting pain, it often loses its grip. Acceptance doesn't mean that pain disappears, but it allows you to coexist with it in a way that feels more manageable. This simple act of acknowledgement can transform the emotional landscape, providing room for healing to take place naturally. These tools, mindful breathing, self-compassion, cognitive reframing, journaling, and acceptance, are all part of a greater purpose. Learning to live with your emotions in a way that serves you, rather than letting them control you. Each of these steps builds on the other, creating a cycle of awareness, reflection, and growth. The key here is practice. Emotional mastery isn't a switch that you flip overnight. It's a daily commitment to understanding and working with your emotions. Each time you practice these techniques, you're rewiring your brain for resilience and peace. In my experience, emotional mastery isn't about never feeling pain. It's about feeling it and knowing that it doesn't define you. In a world that often encourages us to push emotions aside, I've found that sitting with those difficult feelings can be the most empowering act of all. It teaches you that no matter what arises, you have the tools to handle it. Emotional mastery is a journey that never really ends, but with each step forward, the path becomes more manageable, and the sense of control you gain over your emotional life grows stronger. As you practice these techniques, you'll start to notice subtle changes, a little more space between you and your reactions, a little more peace amid the storm, and a deepening sense of resilience. These tools, mindful breathing, self-compassion, cognitive reframing, journaling, and acceptance, are all part of a greater purpose. Learning to live with your emotions in a way that serves you, rather than letting them control you. Each of these steps builds on the other, creating a cycle of awareness, reflection, and growth. The key here is practice. Emotional mastery isn't something you flip on overnight. It's a daily commitment to understanding and working with your emotions. Each time you practice these techniques, you're rewiring your brain for resilience and peace. In my experience, emotional mastery isn't about never feeling pain. It's about feeling it and knowing that it doesn't define you. In a world that often encourages us to push emotions aside, I've found that sitting with those difficult feelings can be the most empowering act of all. It teaches you that no matter what arises, you have the tools to handle it. Your journey toward emotional mastery. If you've made it this far, you've already taken the first step toward emotional mastery, awareness. Now it's time to practice. Start small, with just one of these techniques, and see how it shifts your emotional experience. Over time, you'll find that the tools you need to manage your emotions are already within you. You just need to learn how to use them. The journey isn't about escaping pain, but about transforming it into a source of strength. Each technique builds emotional strength, allowing you to coexist with your emotions rather than be ruled by them. Now tell me, or should you ask yourself, what emotions have you been holding back? How might your life change if you gave yourself permission to feel those emotions fully, without judgment or fear? Take a moment. Don't rush past these questions. Allow yourself to reflect, even if it feels uncomfortable. This is where your healing begins, not by avoiding your emotions, but by giving them the space they need to be acknowledged. Emotional mastery isn't about never feeling pain again. It's about learning to navigate it, embrace it, and ultimately, rise above it. Mindful breathing creates a pause between you and your emotional response. Now let's try it together. Find a quiet spot, and for the next 2 minutes, inhale deeply for 4 counts, hold your breath for 4 counts, and exhale for 4 counts. Focus on the sensation of your breath, allowing any thoughts or emotions to pass like clouds. Just observe them without judgment. This small practice can instantly create space and bring clarity to emotionally intense moments. Make it a habit to practice daily for lasting change. Inner strength is not the absence of hardship. It's the ability to adapt, rebuild, and rise even stronger in the face of pain. The world throws challenges at us, and while we can't always control what happens, we can control how we respond. Life is filled with moments of quiet hardship, It could be the exhaustion of balancing a demanding job with family, or the overwhelming grief of losing someone we love. Building this inner strength doesn't mean that pain magically disappears. It means developing the capacity to endure, rebuild, and grow. Nelson Mandela's journey is a testament to this truth. His ability to endure wasn't born from a single moment, but from 27 years of daily commitment to his cause, despite the physical and emotional challenges of imprisonment. He didn't wait for liberation to start building his legacy. He began crafting it day by exercising his body and mind within the confines of his cell, and maintaining a vision for a free South Africa. We can all learn from Mandela's example, but finding strength looks different for each of us. For you, it might be the courage to get up every morning when it feels easier to stay in bed, or the strength to reach out when you're feeling isolated. Developing this inner fortitude comes through small, manageable steps. Each day offers opportunities to grow your capacity to cope with adversity. Pain is a natural part of life, but how we perceive it shapes how we respond. Try reframing challenges not as setbacks, but as opportunities for learning and growth. Dr. Carol Dweck, renowned for her work on growth mindset, reminds us that failures and struggles are not permanent but can be stepping stones to personal development. Never underestimate the importance of physical well-being. Exercise, proper sleep, and nutrition are not just luxuries. They are fundamental to building emotional and mental strength. Even Mandela focused on physical discipline during his imprisonment, knowing that physical health could fuel his mental toughness. Building strength doesn't have to be a solo journey. Malala Yousafzai didn't rise alone after being shot for advocating girls' education. She leaned on her family and community, and in turn, created a global movement that empowered others. Like Malala, we too can reach out for support and offer help to others, creating a cycle of inner strength. Every little victory, whether it's making it through a tough day or confronting a long-held fear, deserves acknowledgement. These moments are building blocks of your strength, and each one increases your ability to face future challenges. It's important to recognize that this kind of endurance isn't just found in iconic figures like Mandela or Malala. It lives in the everyday heroes, the single parent working multiple jobs, the student pushing through to complete their education despite overwhelming odds, the individual struggling with mental health who still manages to ask for help. Each of us has the potential to develop this strength. The path is often hard, but with every step, we move closer to our best selves. Pain isn't a barrier, it's a doorway to a more profound strength. Pain by its very nature forces us to confront the deepest parts of ourselves. It strips away the distractions and brings us face to face with what truly matters. In those moments of vulnerability, when everything feels uncertain, pain can become our greatest teacher, guiding us toward our most authentic selves and revealing truths we may have otherwise overlooked. Pain as a catalyst for clarity. At its core, pain has a unique way of simplifying life. It cuts through the noise, the busyness, and the superficial, leaving us with what truly matters: our relationships, our values, and our purpose. In the midst of suffering, there is often a strange clarity that emerges. We begin to see our priorities clearly, whether it's the importance of a family connection, a friendship that needs mending, or a calling we've been avoiding. The wound is the place where the light enters you, wrote the poet Rumi, and his words ring true. Pain can break us open, allowing light and wisdom to enter. In this way, it becomes an opportunity for growth, self-discovery, and transformation. Turning pain into purpose. Finding meaning in pain requires us to shift our perspective. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, we must learn to view it as a necessary part of our journey. This shift is what Viktor Frankl, the renowned Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, termed tragic optimism, the ability to remain hopeful and find meaning even in the worst of circumstances. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl describes how those who survived the unimaginable horrors of concentration camps often did so by finding purpose in their suffering. whether it was to help a fellow prisoner or to live for the chance to be reunited with loved ones. While most of us may not face suffering of that magnitude, the lesson remains the same. Pain can be transformed into purpose if we allow it to. It forces us to ask, what is this pain trying to teach me? Or, how can I use this experience to help others? In my own life, I've found that the most painful experiences often bring the greatest clarity. During moments of deep loss or struggle, I realized what mattered most. The people I loved, the values I held dear, and the impact I wanted to leave on the world. Pain, in its raw form, has the ability to guide us back to our core. Gratitude as a tool for perspective. It may seem counterintuitive, but gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for finding meaning in pain. When we practice gratitude, even in the face of hardship, we acknowledge that there are still things in life worth cherishing. Dr. Robert Emmons, a leading researcher on gratitude, has found that practicing gratitude can increase resilience by shifting focus away from what is wrong to what is still right in our lives. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for, even if they seem small. It could be the support of a friend, a beautiful sunset, or simply the fact that you got through another day. These small acknowledgments can create a profound shift in perspective, allowing us to find light in the darkest moments. The connection between pain and empathy. One of the hidden gifts of pain is the ability to connect more deeply with others. When we go through difficult times, we gain an understanding of what it means to hurt, to struggle, and to feel lost. This experience of pain opens our hearts to the suffering of others, fostering empathy and connection. When we share our stories, we create a bridge between our experiences and those of others. Vulnerability invites connection, and through connection, we heal. This is why support groups or simply reaching out to a friend during difficult times can feel so transformative. It reminds us that we are not alone in our pain. Think about how Malala Yousafzai turned her pain into a movement. After surviving an assassination attempt for her advocacy of girls' education, she could have chosen to live in silence, but instead, she found purpose in her suffering by becoming a global advocate for education and women's rights. Malala's story reminds us that when we transform pain into empathy, we have the potential to inspire and uplift those around us. Here are some practical ways to help you find meaning in pain. Reflection and journaling are essential ways to find meaning in pain. Taking time to contemplate the nature of your pain allows you to ask critical questions. What is this pain revealing to me? What can I learn from it? By writing these reflections down, you're able to externalize your thoughts, which not only gives you clarity, but also insight into how this experience shapes you. It's a moment of pause in the whirlwind of emotions, offering a space where healing can begin. Helping others is another powerful way to give purpose to pain. The act of sharing your story or offering support transforms suffering from something isolating into something deeply connective. Volunteering or simply listening to someone else's struggles helps you realize that you're not alone in your experience. The pain gains meaning when it's used to uplift others, and this process creates a sense of empowerment that can ease the burden of your own suffering. Finding meaning in small moments is key to maintaining perspective. You don't need a grand, overarching purpose to understand your pain. Sometimes, the most profound realizations come in the little things: a warm hug from a loved one, the simple beauty of a sunset, or even completing a small task. These fleeting moments remind us that despite the suffering, there is still beauty and connection in life. Even in our hardest times, these small acknowledgments provide light. Through them, we're reminded that pain isn't the entirety of our existence. It's one piece of a much larger, more meaningful journey. As we walk this path together, let's remember that pain, though difficult, can be a powerful teacher. It forces us to slow down, reflect, and ask the important questions. What truly matters? What do I want my life to stand for? By shifting our perspective and finding meaning in our struggles, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of purpose, clarity, and connection with the world around us. Pain doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning of a new chapter, one where you emerge stronger, more compassionate, and more aligned with who you truly are. Through resilience, gratitude, and empathy, we can transform pain into the driving force behind our greatest growth. Pain connects us all. It's a universal experience that touches every life, no matter who you are or where you come from. It unites us in our shared humanity. But here's the truth we often try to ignore. In life, none of us ever wish to face pain. We don't wake up hoping for heartbreak or loss, but in a world full of unpredictability and challenges, pain is inevitable. Whether it's the sudden loss of a loved one, the breakdown of a cherished relationship, or the quiet loneliness that seeps into our lives, pain is something that none of us can avoid. And yet, we must learn to live with it, just as we learn to live with every other part of our lives. Let me share something personal. I am no exception to this. I've faced pain that at times felt insurmountable, as if the weight of it would crush me entirely. I've lost loved ones, first my father, then my grandmother, and even a child, a baby who I never got the chance to meet, my own flesh and blood. The grief felt like it would consume me, the weight of it pressing down on my chest for years. I was so overwhelmed with sadness that my body began to break down. I lost weight. I was constantly sick, my stomach ulcerated from the stress, and those closest to me had to watch me fall apart, powerless to help. If you've been through anything like this, you know what I'm talking about. The pain is all-encompassing, suffocating. But here's the thing. I didn't want to stay in that place forever. I couldn't stay in that place forever, because at some point, I realized that there were still people around me who needed me. My family, my work, my team. These were all parts of my life that still mattered. I had children to raise and people who relied on me. If I didn't find a way to pull myself out of the grief, who would care for them? How could I honor the memory of those I had lost by continuing to sink deeper into sorrow? It wasn't an easy process. It took time. I had to fight to reclaim my strength. But little by little, I began to understand that pain, while deeply personal, also connects us to others in profound ways. And just like that, the act of sharing our pain becomes a way to heal. When you open up about your struggles, something powerful happens. You bridge the gap between yourself and those around you. Pain doesn't separate us, it unites us. When we share our pain with others, we create a space for empathy, a space for others to step into our world and say, I understand. I've been there too. It's in this shared vulnerability that true connection forms. Real, meaningful relationships aren't built on perfection. They're built on the honesty of shared struggles and the strength that comes from overcoming them. Think about support groups for grief or addiction recovery. Strangers come together to share their darkest moments, and in that sharing, they often find their deepest healing. Why? Because they realize they aren't alone. Their pain becomes a shared experience, and suddenly, they're no longer isolated but part of a community. The same thing happens in our personal lives. When we reveal our humanity, it invites others to reveal theirs. So the next time you feel like hiding your pain, pause. Try opening up, just a little. Start by sharing a piece of what you're going through with someone you trust. You'll likely find that it deepens your connection with them and creates space for both of you to heal. Vulnerability, far from being a weakness, is the key to building empathy. For me, the act of sharing my pain was transformative. There were countless days when I felt like no one could understand the weight of what I was going through. But once I opened up, once I allowed myself to be vulnerable, I found that others did understand. And not only that, they shared their own stories, their own struggles. It's a simple truth. Pain, when shared, builds bridges of empathy. The act of sharing pain creates connection. And when you build those connections, you realize that pain isn't something you have to bear alone. When you reveal your struggles, you give others permission to reveal theirs. You allow empathy to grow, and in that exchange, healing happens. Who can you reach out to today to share your pain? Pain doesn't have to be the one holding the pen in your life story. You do. It's easy to feel like we're at the mercy of pain, as if the chapters of our life are already written. But here's the empowering truth. No matter what has happened to you, you hold the power to shape what comes next. Many times when pain enters our lives, we feel stuck. Maybe you've been through heartache, loss, or disappointment so profound that it feels like your story will never change. But the reality is, pain is not the conclusion. It's just one chapter. You have the power to turn the page and start writing a new narrative. The most important step to reclaiming your story is choosing to act. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for the pain you've experienced. It means recognizing that while you can't control everything that happens, you can control how you respond. Every choice, no matter how small, can move you closer to healing and transformation. You don't need to have all the answers right now, but you can start by asking yourself, what story do I want to live? Instead of letting pain dictate the next chapter, envision what comes next. Is it a chapter filled with hope, resilience, and growth? You are the author, and you decide what fills the blank pages. Imagine your life as a blank canvas. Pain may have splattered its colors onto it, but you are still holding the paintbrush. You get to choose how to turn those splatters into something beautiful. Will you paint over the pain, or will you turn it into a masterpiece that tells a story of triumph and resilience? Think of Maya Angelou, who faced unimaginable hardships, abuse, poverty, and racism. Yet she chose to rewrite her story and use her voice to inspire millions. Her pain didn't define her, but how she transformed it into poetry, activism, and wisdom did. She famously said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." To begin writing a new chapter, ask yourself, what is one small action I can take today to move forward? Perhaps it's having an honest conversation with someone you've been avoiding, or maybe it's taking the first step toward a personal goal you've been afraid to pursue. The important thing is to start somewhere, however small. Pain doesn't get to write your story. You do. Every decision you make from this moment on will shape the rest of your life. Your future is not set in stone. It's written by the choices you make today. You can take the lessons pain has taught you and use them to build something beautiful, meaningful, and uniquely yours. The future is unwritten, and it's yours to create. Your pain is not your prison, it's the key to your future. Over the next 6 months, you have the opportunity to transform not only how you see your pain, but how you use it. Every challenge, every setback you face is a stepping stone to the life you truly deserve. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about embracing the discomfort, recognizing your inner strength, and understanding that each day brings you closer to your goals. The power to change your life isn't out there waiting for you, it's already within you. Transformation is not a solo journey. You're part of a community of people who, just like you, have made the decision to turn pain into power. Join this community, share your progress, and draw strength from the stories of others who are walking this path. There is immense strength in unity, and together, we can create lasting, positive change. Don't just watch this video and move on. Act. What is one small thing you can do today that your future self will thank you for? Is it taking that first step toward healing? Reaching out for support? Or maybe it's committing to this 6-month journey to a better you. The power is in your hands. To make this transformation process even more practical and hands-on, download the 6-month transformation workbook. Inside, you'll find personalized tracking sheets, reflection exercises, and goal-setting tools to help you stay accountable and focused on your growth. These tools aren't just there to guide you, they're there to empower you to take ownership of your progress and see real, lasting change. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Remember, this is just the beginning of a powerful transformation. Every step you take brings you closer to the life you want and deserve. I'm so excited to see where the next 6 months take you. Until the next video, keep believing in your strength and keep moving forward, one day at a time. Stay connected, stay strong, and I'll see you soon.